I got a writing sample I've been working on. It's dynamite.
I had no idea you wrote.
So who are your influences?
Shakespeare, Krakauer, the hot mom who wrote Twilight.
I have the perfect piece to start you off with. There's a guy who claims he has the secret to the Bermuda Triangle.
We'll see you in 3 weeks with a story that's gonna blow your mind.
Oh, sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a piece of shit.
Wow.
Come on, man. Don't say that. Gulliver's Travels is one of my favorite books.
Yeah, well, this ain't that. This is not Jonathan.
Jonathan Swift?
Jonathan Swift's brilliant piece of social satire.
Yeah.
As near as I can tell, there was no actual satire in here. I mean, maybe they were trying a little, but then they went, whatever.
Wait, isn't it satirical just the fact that they got Jack Black to star in it? Yeah.
Well, if I guess he is kind of playing himself yet again.
Poor Jack Black.
Yeah, it should be called Jack Black's shitty movie.
Man, I gotta say, Jack from the old days of the D, I had high hopes for him that, especially after School of Rock, that he could turn this into a legitimate movie career.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's all he apparently thinks he can do. I mean, the one time he tried to play a different role, it was just a bad movie. And that was it Muriel's Wedding, I believe?
No, it's The Holiday, where he was...
Well, there's The Holiday, too, but he was still kind of playing the kind of...
Yeah.
Well, look, the thing is, this movie basically just lets the world know that he is just a one-note hack now.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, he really is. Yeah.
Actors like him and Ben Stiller, who I started off going, yeah, these guys are funny. I think they got a lot of potential. And then you find out that's all they've got in them.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, look, just go get behind the camera or something, because if that's we can only take you for so many movies before we start to go, shut the fuck up. It's not funny anymore. It's just I don't even like the earlier shit now because of the crap.
You guys become
That's what's bad.
Yeah, you guys become animators. Go draw something. Leave everybody alone.
But this
go work in the hills where you don't bother nobody.
This is just insulting. It really is. I mean, you start with Jack Black, who's the head of the mail room at some big newspaper company,
Right.
and he's been doing it for 10 years, and he is Jack Black. I mean, make no mistake.
Well,
so you describe his character, he's Jack Black.
Does he have a band outside of work?
No, but he's all about the rock.
Yeah, he loves singing.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He loves singing. He loves playing with his
man.
Star Wars toys.
Yeah, he loves he's a geek. He loves playing with his
The worst geek.
Yeah, he's the worst kind of he does things that no self-respecting geek over the age of 10 years old would ever do.
Damn.
You know, you're like, really, you're gonna make jokes about the Empire Strikes Back and Luke and Darth being his father. Nobody does.
He's
that
the only guy
anymore.
who still thinks Star Wars is cool.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was like the most obvious jokes imaginable. Let's just put it that way. And so he's one of those people who's like, well, I got this far and it pays for my apartment and my life, and I don't really view that much great about myself. And he's right.
Yeah.
He's not that great. He's really a loser. But he has the hots for Amanda Peet, who is the travel editor for the newspaper, and a new guy who comes in, who quickly gets promoted to head of the mailroom like in a day, because he goes out there and starts going to people like, hey, I'm great. Pay attention to me. And they do.
I'm like, involving Amanda Peet, I was like, who's fighting for her attention anymore? Didn't she have her chance and she blew it?
She's still pretty hot. I'd fight for her attention. I mean, I wouldn't fight like Corey.
Well, the thing is, I believe you'd get it. I believe you would get her attention.
Come on, man.
Because nobody else is looking for her.
She ain't that far down.
No, she is not that far down.
She hasn't posed in Playboy yet.
Hasn't she? She posted the whole 9 yards.
You know what? There was a time early in her career where she was naked in every movie, and then she stopped doing that.
Yeah, she suddenly said, you've seen it. So, and I don't blame her. It's like, hey, I'm no prude. You just like, what is that going to do for you at this point?
She was kind of built like a 12-year-old boy. I don't think anybody was really looking for it.
I don't know about that,
you're
dude.
crazy.
She had like them pancake tits, or they
No, she didn't.
Really?
You think about somebody else.
Or those tube sock tits.
No, she did not.
They look like they were inflated. I mean, they're deflated or
You're
whatever.
thinking of somebody else.
Yeah,
dude.
you got to be thinking about somebody else.
She was well acknowledged for having a super hot body at the time.
No.
Sure.
It was always a treat.
I have to go back to my old Celebrity Sleuth magazines, I guess, to remember that. But
anyway, so Jack Black's character Gulliver sees that and goes, you know what? I'm gonna ask her out. I'm finally gonna do it. And he goes up to her office to ask her out, and instead of getting the balls to actually ask her out, he chickens out and instead ends up through following a misunderstanding she's happening and why he's there to be a travel writer for the newspaper. Yeah, like that would happen.
Okay.
But he ends up just stealing from travel logs online because she asked for samples. So she just goes to Time Out and a lot of travel places and just copies and pastes.
Sure.
Right? So right off the bat, you're like, so we're supposed to like this guy?
Well, let's be honest. lot of people out there doing that anyway.
But
You can check out our website. You'll see a lot of that.
so she believes it for the time being and says, "Okay, I've got this. It's a first job. It's not all that great of a thing, but you know what? It's a chance to open the door. So I'm going to send you out to Bermuda. It's like, oh no.
well, I'm sure nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, to do a story about the
Yeah.
Bermuda Triangle.
It's
right?
like, wow, you just say you don't like me, all right? I'll leave you alone. Fuck.
But it being a Hollywood film and them saying the magic words, the Bermuda Triangle,
Yeah.
and the fact that this film is Gulliver's Travels, he ends up sucked into a giant whirlpool and ends in the magical land of Lilliput, which is run by very, very tiny, like to our
Lilliputians.
Yeah, the Lilliputians. They're like 6 inches tall.
Yeah.
By our
like
standards.
like a world of G.I. Joes.
So he's this huge giant, and they tie him down and make him a prisoner in ways that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Especially since early on they show how easy it is for him to break his bonds,
yeah.
and then every time after that he's just like, oh, he's barely tied up, and you're just like, why are you just sitting there? You could wipe out this whole kingdom in an afternoon.
Yeah, well, once they get to the land of who gives a shit, that's when the movie really falls apart because there's no story at all after that. It's just how many crazy comedic hijinks can we get Jack Black in involving little people?
Well, they set up a villain who is a General Edward, played by Chris O'Dowd, who is
Who's Chris O'Dowd?
Stick up his ass douchebag. Chris O'Dowd, he's Irish guy. He's in the IT crowd. The Boat That Rocked. If you saw that, he's in Dinner for Schmucks, playing the blind swordsman. He's one of those guys. If you see him, you'll go,
I'm sure if I saw him, I'd go,
I know
okay,
that guy.
all right.
But anyway, so this guy's kind of an asshole, and he's been kind of set up to be the king at some point, right? The king is played by Billy Connolly.
Sadly.
Who's just sadly because he doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Like he's never once given a chance to be funny, even mildly. Yeah. He just reacts. And his daughter is Emily Blunt, and presumably Emily, who seems wholly disinterested with everything in the film, much less that Chris O'Dowd, is going to marry him at some point. They'll be together. But of course, Jack Black being there throws a wrench in everybody's things. He saves the king's life by, and I'm not making this up, the castle is on fire, and he runs to it, and he drops his pants, and he pees it out.
Yeah.
With hundreds of Lilliputians staring up at his balls, he pees out the fire. Pees on the king,
and if
which
you
they
didn't
show
see that,
multiple times, him peeing with the king's mouth open and everything.
And if you didn't see that coming, you're a fucking idiot. I mean, it would have been far more creative if he would have farted it out, like you said. I would at least chuckled at some point. But after this movie is a fucking train wreck in half, dude.
So his big follow up to Year One, which sounded like it was just as much of a stinker, is his Gulliver's
I didn't
Travel.
see Year One. That was my one. Like every year, I've got my one get out of jail free card I play, where I'm like, no, I cannot take this. I refuse. And that was my Year One. I wish I had used it for Gulliver's Travel.
I will fucking say this right now: Jack Black's career is fucking over. Over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing's over.
Well,
You're just setting him up for that.
All I need to do is take a Polaroid of Jack Black on the big silver screen, along with an empty theater, in the first week of this movie's out, and mail it to him. And this is your career. Stop while you're ahead. Stop.
The thing is, like, they want to make this for really little kids, and it took a while to figure that out because there's jokes like that, like him whipping his dick out and pissing on a castle. But it's clear I
wouldn't show that to little
they
kids.
think they're making a film for really young kids, but. Okay, some of the humor at best, this is like television special level of humor.
Sure.
It's ridiculously bad, and it's clear that almost every actor in it knows it. Especially, like I was saying earlier, Emily Blunt, who's like she's reading her lines off the box of a cereal box after she just got up with a hangover.
Now, to be fair, Emily Blunt has a whole icy British thing going on, so she always seems kind of bored.
No, trust me, it's worse than that.
It looks like she
stilted dialogue.
She was doing some kind of subliminal thing during this movie, basically telling her agent to fuck off. Really.
She's batting her eyes in Morse code.
Yeah.
They've got this
Get
weird.
me out of here.
They got the weird Cyrano de Bergerac, I guess, relationship. Well, not really. Whatever. Where Jason Segel's a character who's been imprisoned because he made.
Dude, I hate Jason
because
Segel.
he made eyes at Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
And the asshole general guy imprisoned him. And Jack Black, they were in prison together briefly, so they became friends. Yeah. And so he's like, no. If I'm your hero now, then you've got to let this guy out and free him and all that. So it turns into the whole that whole okay, say this to her now.
Yeah,
and
Cyrano.
he's quoting lines from lyrics from songs.
Prince,
of course.
fucking Prince. They butcher a Prince song.
Yeah, and it's just really,
sad.
dude, are we really going to go through this again?
It's embarrassing. I'm sitting in that theater by myself, along with two people in the back, fucking, underneath the projection window booth. I was really embarrassed. Everyone involved in this movie, just because there was no structure to it. There's no story. Yeah. And just shit was just happening out of left field for no apparent reason. And the jokes were just terrible. I'm
awful.
Like, I was like, you got Jason Segel. I'm like, I actually liked Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And I'm like, dude, you have a cult fan base who's watching your every move with every decision you make because of Freaks and Geeks. You are fucking up right now. You are fucking up majorly bad right now. And that's how I felt for everyone involved with this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, did anybody read the script? Was there a script at all? I mean, because it felt like chunks of this movie were taken out.
There are people that are in sensitive parts of their careers right now in this film, and you're like, no, bad call, bad move. Yeah. Try and tell everyone that wasn't me. I have a twin.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's insulting. It's not funny. Even once is it?
No, not
even
at all.
Chuckle-worthy is
not
it funny? It is cringe-inducing.
I'm from the island of Manhattan, between the islands of Staten and Long.
Were you the president? Well, of course he was, Mother.
Nah, it's a common mistake to not think I was president.
Were you a victorious president?
Yeah, I was pretty victorious.
Noble as well?
Yeah, I was super noble. I was actually known as President the Awesome.
President the Awesome. Pretty unlikely title.
There's they want so bad to hit all these pop cultural references, right? So you're like, okay, what if we made a pop culture film that took place in Lilliput? So what would a pop culture addict do there, right? Now you could probably be clever, but instead they have him dressing them up like Kiss and playing Guitar Hero with them, ordering them to do stuff like that, acting out scenes from Titanic and Empire Strikes Back.
It hurt me just now to hear you even say that.
Well, I'm about to hurt you even more. Is they even get to a point where there's, they covered the town in billboards of him parroting, different sci-fi action movies. And the biggest one was Wolverine Origins. Jack Black with his claws. And it's it should have said Jack Black Origins. And I was like, wow, you're parroting that fucking movie. A parody of a shitty film.
Well, it was every movie that they had any sort of rights to at all. They were like, okay, let's place the product placement for it, but with Gulliver's name mixed in and likeness. There was a Gavatar and, everything you can imagine that was just terrible and not funny. It was just it was insulting to your brain to watch it, and it just gets worse and worse. I mean, you can't believe there's a point where they decide, okay, well, they go Wild Wild West on it, where they're like, okay, well, the villain, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you're 6 inches tall next to this huge guy. There's nothing you can fucking do to this guy. Nothing. There's no conceivable way. But early on in the movie, they have him as Jack Black is flying, driving his boat out to wherever, reading a video game magazine, so gratuitously. Let's look at this video game magazine. Huh. Plans for a giant robot. Like I'd ever be able to do that. And he puts it away. And you're like, wait, so what you're saying is at some point there's going to be a giant robot in this movie.
Your jackass friend next to you goes, foreshadowing.
It's one of those, you'd have to be a complete... anyone over the age of 5 knows at that point there's going to be a giant robot at some point, and it makes no sense. And sure enough, so you've got the only conceivable way this guy could be a threat is to build a giant robot.
Oh wait, he does build a giant robot?
Yeah, he builds a fucking...
I think it's in the trailer. Yeah.
And this robot that there's no way you got the plans for from a video game magazine. I mean, sure the movie says Lilliputians are excellent builders. They're the best in the world at
running
it.
Joke.
But they didn't say anything about technological engineering.
They're so good they can make stuff that doesn't exist.
Yeah. But you know what? It doesn't even get terrible at that point. They managed to take this to the top, baby, as far as doing a fucking atrocious dance number, a musical number. Yeah. Butchering that fucking song. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Wow, say it again.
Where hopefully
shaking his huge tummy around in 3D.
Where hopefully that'll be the last time you get to see fucking Jack Black ever do his old shtick of dancing around, rocking out to air guitar ever again. You're hoping that's the last fucking time you see that.
I was holding in vomit watching it, and I'm not even exaggerating. It was so insulting watching that sequence. I was like, this has got to be among the worst things I've seen, not just this year, but this fucking decade.
I have to agree, because I mean, I fucking floated out of there. My head was numb. I mean, honestly, it felt like somebody hit me over the head. And I thought I saw like glimpses of somebody else's shitty
held you
movie.
down and pissed on you.
Yeah, might as well. That would have been far more entertaining. That would have been a story to tell.
Right.
This was just a waste of my fucking time. I felt like I had a great year until I saw this fucking movie, and it really made me go, wow. Just when you think you've seen almost every fucking thing that Hollywood can dish out to you, oh no, they got plenty more. They got plenty more in their ball sack that they're ready to dump out on you.
Man.
And this was it, man. Oh.
It sounds like you were just short of like just walking into the spill offices and going, I quit. I never want to have to do something like that ever again.
The original story is filled with satire and metaphor for society things, and this does, now that you mention that, co-host, has one big metaphor, which is him pissing on that castle is an awful lot like what it feels like watching this film. I felt like the castle. I felt like it was Jack Black pissing on us.
Nicely done in 3D.
Yeah, right. Who wants to see Jack Black pissing on you in 3D? That's what we're using this technology for.
Is it in 3D?
Yeah.
Yes.
Talk about irresponsible use of technology. See Jack Black's huge belly at every opportunity poking out at you. I mean, come on. Did anybody really need to see that or was asking to see that?
So what y'all give this, matinee?
No, I'm giving this movie the biggest fuck you I can give.
This gets the coveted fuck you. The golden fuck you. Fuck you, Jack Black. Fuck you.
Remember I said I cue lies, Jack? I lied.
There's some guy named Rob Letterman directed this. He's the
Who cares?
He's David Letterman's stepson.
Don't advertise for him.
No, he only did animated films before this. He did Shark Tale and Monsters vs. Aliens. And it's like, yeah, you're really kind of a hack, aren't you?
Damn.
Because fuck you, Letterman. Fuck you, Jack Black. You know what? Fuck it. Fuck Jonathan Swift for writing this way.
Hey, man. I'm Jonathan Swift. I'm sure he's spinning in his grave as much as anybody. Matter of fact, in heaven, they call him old Spinning John.
Motherfucker better come back to life and start some shit.
He might.
Team up with Steven Dorff from somewhere and get his career back.
Might reanimate his corpse. He's somewhere going, my story, my story.
I wish the ghost of film, past, present, and future could have fucking grabbed a hold of his ass. Hey, look what you're doing. Look at this fucking story.
For the first time in his life, people are looking up to him.
To land a princess, you got to employ some grade A cortage.
Could you teach me?
Next time you see her, just tell her I'm really into you. Got a lot of things going on. I'd like you to be one of them.
And he's finally standing out.
I'm starting to love this place.
Don't you miss your subjects and the White House and the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah, but Vice President Yoda can run things without me for a while.